The Other Side of Things. Written by Asthmatic Bee. Read by Hijinks Audio. Chapter 10. Descend into Orcus. Summary. Kamino Ward and things fall into place. Shigaraki grumbled as Izuku overtook him in Mario Kart, his controller only remaining intact by virtue of his artist gloves.
Was that necessary?
Yep, Izuku grins, as the next race loads in. Gotta give you something to work towards while I'm hanging with the heroes and all.
I still don't think you have to do it,
Shigaraki mumbles, as he sends off a blue shell, sending Izuku straight off the side of Rainbow Road. Izuku rolls his eyes as he waits to be placed back on the road. I thought you trusted me, bro.
I do, dumbass,
Shigaraki deadpans, cursing as he drove straight into a banana peel.
It's the heroes I don't trust.
Just stick to our plan. Steer clear of Birdmouse fucker and reconvene when the dust has settled after the show. Red eyes meet green as the race ends, and he puts the controller down on the coffee table.
Be careful.
Aren't I always? Shoto wakes up in a dusty room, barely a quarter of their classroom, and filled with broken furniture. He's bound to one of two intact chairs, the weird shackles around his wrist not tight, but somehow stifling his quirk to the strength it had when he was a toddler and much harder to call forth. Some bootleg suppressant cuffs off the black market, most likely.
Ah, the princess awakens.
A gravelly voice speaks up in front of him, the grinning visage of the firequark villain more grotesque in the low light. What do you want from me? Shoto tries to take stock of his bindings as covertly as possible, and is glad he's in here with the fire user instead of the guy who can dust him in seconds. Small mercies. The villain smirks wider, and the staples stretch his ruined skin in morbid ways. Shoto thinks he sees blood seep from one of the grafts.
Is that any way to greet your dearest brother after so long, Shoto?
He narrows his eyes, fingers of his left hand fiddling with the lock of his right handcuff, heating it slowly. It was going to take a while, his fingers barely reaching 50 degrees Celsius with the knockoff suppressors on. Sure, you're my dead brother. Very believable.
I used to have red hair, but it turned white over time like Mum's,
the villain says nonchalantly, fingers playing with the small blue flame.
When I turned out to be a failed product, the boss and my mum have not sworn you. I tried to kill you when you were a baby.
He raised an eyebrow at Shoto, who had gone still, the control of his weakened quirk slipping.
That convincing enough, brat.
So, Shoto swallows, trying to calm himself down. He could freak out once he was out of here and far away from volatile psychopaths. What, you turned villain to spite dear old dad because you weren't the golden child anymore? He leaned back in an attempt to seem more in control of his emotions than he really was, hoping the bad lighting obscured his pale face. All you had to do was ask, Toya. We could have traded whenever.
You think you're so funny, don't you?
I'm hysterical, actually. Shoto deadpans, left thumb going back to heating the locks on his cuffs. So, why am I here?
Boss saw you at the store with our agent,
Toya shrugs, the flame dancing from one finger to the next like he's playing with a coin.
Figured if he keeps you around, you might be a potential member. Could be the final nail in the coffin of our old man's career if you turned.
Shoto sat up straighter, eyes narrowing at his older brother. What are you talking about? Toya smirks at him, the flame casting unsettling shadows across his scarred face.
Boss gave Midoriya all the dirt I had compiled on the old man, and is currently making the rounds among the journalists. Now imagine if his perfect little puppet turned villain at the same time, showing up with the son he declared dead years ago. He'll never recover.
What makes you think I'd...
Oh, please. You think Midoriya wasn't in contact with us all this time, Sho?
Toya interrupts him, the flame flaring in his hand.
We know you despise the old man. So, what do you say? So, what do you say, Bakugo?
The creepy-ass hand guy was scratching at his neck idly, and Katsuki wondered how a crusty fucker like him was leading a villain gang.
You really think I'm gonna side with the fuckers who kidnapped Izuku and wanted to turn me into a Frankenstein monster when I was little? Yeah, right.
The blood-caked fingers pause, and there is a shift in the air. Katsuki almost thinks he might have gone too far, when one of the doors opens, and in steps the blue fire freak and a suspiciously unbound Icy Hot. Crusty fucker smirks behind his hand.
Ah, I see the brotherly reunion went well then.
Katsuki looks between the two, and yeah, maybe if Skingraft fucker was less mutilated, he could look a bit like an older, edgy Icy Hot, but still. There was no way Icy Hot sided with the villains just to spite his old man, and because some supposed brother tugged at his heartstrings. Their eyes meet, and Icy Hot looks pale and a little off-kilter, but he takes a quick glance at his cuffs, then gazes again, and raises an eyebrow, barely noticeable. Katsuki has to suppress a grin. Izuku leaned against the wall outside Yairozu's hospital room, a cacophony of arguing voices carrying outside through the slightly open door. "Please, Yamomo, we can't just leave those two to rot with the villains," Kirishima wailed, and Izuku wonders how many times the redhead had been making his case already. "Please, make us another tracker." "But the heroes are working on freeing them, aren't they?" Jiro cut in, her voice sounding uncharacteristically nervous. "We are just teenagers, Kirishima. Just leave it to the pros." "Going after them would be illegal, Garo." There is a frustrated growl, then Ida speaks up. "I really think we shouldn't head out." "That's kind of hypocritical, isn't it?" Shinzo's drawl answers, and Ida splutters. "That's exactly why I'm saying this." "This is all my fault," Uraraka whispered, likely thinking she won't be heard over the arguing, but no such luck. "What are you talking about, Garo?" "She doesn't mean anything." Izuku finally speaks up, entering the room and closing the door behind himself with his foot. He's careful to keep the gun holster under his leather jacket hidden, raising an eyebrow at them. "You guys really don't know how to be subtle, do you?" He crosses his arms as he looks at all of them in order. "The heroes are preparing as we speak. I gave them info on the League's hideouts. There is no reason for any of you to be there." Uraraka looks at him with wet eyes, and he almost feels sorry for her. "But if I hadn't—" "Uraraka," he cuts her off. "I warned Aizawa. There were extra precautions. Nothing would have changed without you. Trust me." Kirishima looks between them. "What are you talking about?" "None of your business." Izuku waves him off. "I mean it. Don't interfere. You'll just make things worse for the heroes and your classmates." "You're just saying that because you hate Bakugo's guts." Izuku raises an eyebrow at Kirishima. "Yeah, and I don't hate Todoroki. So what's your point, exactly? What do you think you'll be able to do that the heroes can't, huh?" He turns back around to the door. "Just stay put like good little hero brats. You can run into danger and die once you have your licenses." Izuku doesn't expect them to heed his advice. He has no delusions that the type of teenagers to enroll in the most competitive hero school of the country are also the type of teenagers to ignore common sense and orders and rush into danger like headless chickens. He is slightly surprised by the group that decided to be dumbasses, however. Kirishima was a given, really. Uraraka he could understand, feeling guilty about her role in the mess. Ida and Yairozu, however, not so much. Okay, to be completely fair, Ida had attempted to shank Stain, but come on. And fine, Ida was chaperoning them, but please, he would shank a bitch if given the chance and no one could convince him otherwise. He watches them walk off the hospital grounds and clears his throat, smirking slightly at their surprised screams. "And where do you think you're going?" Kirishima glares at him uncharacteristically, and Izuku is almost inclined to be impressed. "You can't stop us." "Can't I?" He tilts his head, one eyebrow raised. The light of the street lamp casts the scar over his eye in sharp relief. "Do you remember our first lesson together?" The 4 students are silent, and it's all the answer he needs. With a bone-weary sigh, he pushes off the hospital wall, hands buried in the pockets of his leather jacket. The metal of the gun is cold at his back, loaded with a single bullet. "I'll come with and make sure you idiots don't get yourselves killed." The kids relax at his words, and Izuku tries not to feel guilty about lying to them. In another life, perhaps, he could have been their friend, rather than use them for his own gains. No use dwelling on what-ifs. "Principal Nezu, is it possible that Todoroki Shoto was working with the League of Villains to give support to newfound allegations of child and spousal abuse against Endeavor? We heard UA has been housing a member of the League of Villains who was instrumental in human experimentation. Is that true, Eraserhead? There have been rumors that a minor has been used by you as an undercover agent. Any comments on that, Detective Tsukauchi?" Camino Pizza! Shoto wasn't entirely sure if the League of Villains really were stupid enough to order pizza in the middle of a high-profile hostage situation, or if this was their weird way to password-check members.
"Okay, which one of you dumbasses?"
Shigaraki didn't get to finish, as the wall caved in and Edshot opened the door. Neither then. He ducks the debris and rushes at Bakugo, left hand flash-heating the suppressant cuffs and ripping them off, right hand freezing the chains binding his classmate to the chair. Bakugo flexes his arms with a savage grin, the links bursting apart as he jumps to his feet.
"Was wondering what took you so long, Icy Hot."
Shoto rolls his eyes, now back to back with him. "I wasn't going to risk Shigaraki dusting me, you know."
Yeah, whatever."
There was pandemonium then, and for a moment, it looks like the heroes were making quick work of the villains that almost impressed Shoto. But then he feels something like bile climb up his throat, and it has nothing to do with his father's voice echoing up from the street. His stomach swoops and the room tilts, and then he isn't standing in a caved-in bar, but in the middle of blood-covered rubble. Izuku watches Kirishima, Ida, and Uraraka fly across the battlefield, and Katsuki propel himself towards them with 2 large explosions. His eyes meet Todoroki's where he's trying to fend off Darby's blue flames, and the other teen seems to understand quite quickly. He throws up a giant ice wall, not quite as impressive as the one from the festival, using the distraction to quickly slide over on an ice path where he stumbles into Yayurozu, shivering slightly. "I didn't expect you of all people," he grinds out, slowly heating himself back up with his left half. Izuku shrugs in an attempt to feign nonchalance, eyes trained on the happenings beyond their caved-in wall. "Someone had to chaperone these idiots." My, a raspy voice sounds, and the cold that washes over Izuku has nothing to do with his quirk or Todoroki's ice. He coughs up bile, and the world tilts, before a hard grasp on his throat grounds him again, now several feet in the air. "I didn't expect this, I'll admit." "Then you're dumber than I thought you—" He's cut off by the hand on his throat tightening, and the edges of his vision blur. He hears All Might stop in his tracks somewhere behind him, and for a moment, his gaze locks on Shigaraki somewhere behind All For One. "So insolent," he tisks. "And here I thought I had taught you better than this. I guess even that quirk I gave you can fix you, Izuku's eyes widen as black and red tendrils of energy erupt from All For One's hand, searing pain shooting through his nerves as it takes his all not to black out right in the man's grasp. "Oh well." Izuku distantly feels wind soar past him and his stomach swoop as he sails through the air before his back hits a hastily made ice wall, barely cushioning his impact. "Midoriya-san!" Yayuro's voice sounds distant amongst the ringing in his ears, and he coughs up blood. There are hands propping him up, one warm and one cold, and the girl is producing a handkerchief from her palm. He coughs again and waves her off, trying to sit up straighter without the help of the still shivering Todoroki behind him. Izuku's hand comes up to the comm link in his left ear, somehow still in place, and he blinks to focus his gaze on the battle. "All Might," he coughs again, but shakes his head as he tries to properly steady himself, his right hand reaching for the gun in its holster. "I'm currently at about 930 from you. Can you get me free?" Another cough shakes him. "Get me free line of sight to his back." "Is that a gun?" Yayurozu shrieks, and Izuku hurries to take his hand off the communicator, throwing her a quick glare that is not as effective as he wishes it would be, with the way he feels his vision grey. "That free enough line of sight for you?" Todoroki's voice is low and as monotone as ever, and Izuku has to commend the other teen for keeping a level head. He nods, aiming the gun at the villain's back. Amongst the noise of the superpowered battle, the shot is only heard by the 3 of them. Thank you all for listening to Chapter 10 of the series. Remember to leave comments and kudos on the original work, and as always, I have links in my bio and my description for families in Palestine who really need help, so if you could donate or share the link, that would be awesome and be very appreciated. I'm going to be posting Chapter 11 today as well, as a double upload, because the final 2 chapters were a bit shorter than the previous ones, and this is the first series I've ever finished, so I thought it would be a fun treat. So I hope you enjoy that one as well. Thank you all for listening, and have a lovely day.